The untold story of Severus Snape, the boy from Spinner's Ending, a grimy industrial town where smokestacks pierced the grey sky and the air tasted of coal dust. There stood a narrow house at the end of a cobbled street called Spinner's End. Behind its peeling paint and cracked windows lived a boy whose brilliant mind was trapped in a prison of poverty and pain. Severus Snape's earliest memories were of raised voices echoing through thin walls. His father, Tobias, was a bitter Muggle man whose dreams had curdled into resentment when he discovered he'd married a witch. That resentment found a target. Eileen Snape, once proud of her magical heritage, had learned to hide her wand, to suppress her nature, to make herself small in her own home. Young Severus watched from doorways as his father's hands became fists, as his mother's light dimmed year by year. The boy learned early that magic was something to be ashamed of, something that brought pain. Yet magic called to him like a siren song, whispering promises of escape from the squalor of Spinner's End. He would slip away to the local playground, a solitary figure in ill-fitting clothes, and there he met Hurley Evans, with her brilliant green eyes and hair like autumn fire. She was everything his world was not: bright, kind, loved. When he showed her magic making a flower bloom, in her palm, levitating a leaf with just his mind, she looked at him not with fear or disgust, but with wonder. "You're a wizard," she breathed, and for the first time in his life, Severus felt proud of what he was. The half-blood prince at Hogwarts, sorted into Slytherin, while Lily went to Gryffindor. Severus threw himself into his studies with desperate intensity, while other students played Quidditch or gossiped in common rooms. He haunted the library and his dormitory, poring over textbooks until the words blurred before his tired eyes. But Severus wasn't content to simply learn. He needed to excel, to prove himself worthy of the magical world that had accepted him. In the margins of his potions textbook, he began making notes. Small improvements at first. Add clockwise stir after every 7th counterclockwise stir for better color. Then more ambitious modifications. Crush with flat side of silver dagger. Releases essence better than cutting. His housemates began to notice his strange brilliance. "How did you know to do that?" they'd ask when his potions turned the perfect shade, while theirs remained stubbornly murky. Severus would just shrug, unable to explain the intuitive understanding that guided his hands. Late at night, by wandlight in his curtained bed, he began creating. The spells came to him like poetry, incantations that felt right on his tongue. Levicorpus away to hang his tormentors upside down, as they had done to him emotionally for years. Muffliatos, so he could have private conversations without fear of being overheard by those who already whispered about his shabby robes and strange intensity. He signed his work the Half-Blood Prince, a title that acknowledged both sides of his heritage, the magical prince bloodline through his mother, and his half-blood status that marked him as never quite belonging to either world. But with power came darkness. Sectumsempra was born from rage and humiliation, designed to make his enemies bleed as his heart had bled. When he first cast it on a practice dummy in an abandoned classroom, watching fabric part like flesh, he felt a thrill that frightened him. The Protector in Shadow years later, when Harry Potter arrived at Hogwarts carrying Lily's eyes in James Potter's face, Severus began a different kind of magic, the subtle art of protection, disguised as cruelty. While the wizarding world saw only his sneering contempt for the famous boy who lived, Severus wove a complex web of safeguards around Harry. When Quirrell's jinx threatened to throw Harry from his broomstick during that first Quidditch match, it was Severus muttering the counter-curse, his eyes never leaving the boy, even as Hermione set his robes ablaze. During Harry's second year, when the Chamber of Secrets opened and students were being petrified, Severus brewed mandrake draught after mandrake draught, working through the night to ensure they would have enough to cure the victims. He never spoke of the hours spent hunched over his cauldrons, never mentioned how his hands shook with exhaustion as he stirred the life-saving potions. When Sirius Black escaped from Azkaban, Severus's protection became more desperate. He haunted by the corridors at night, his black robes billowing like the wings of some guardian demon. He invented reasons to patrol near Gryffindor Tower, to be present wherever Harry might be vulnerable. Every detention he assigned Harry was another opportunity to assess threats, to ensure the boy's safety without the boy ever knowing. The night of the Triwizard Tournament's third task, as Harry disappeared into the maze, Severus stood at the edge of the grounds, his wand ready, every muscle tense. When Harry returned with Cedric's body and news of Voldemort's return, Severus felt the dark mark on his arm. Bernard knew his most dangerous game was about to begin. The double agents Berdanas, Voldemort's most trusted Death Eater, and most valuable spy. Severus walked a razor's edge every day. In Death Eater meetings, he sat among men who would kill him without hesitation if they knew the truth. He participated in their dark rituals, shared their table, and when necessary, cast unforgivable curses to maintain his coverage, spell a piece of his soul sacrificed for the greater good. With his fellow Death Eaters, he had to be cruel enough to be believable, clever enough to gather intelligence, and careful enough never to reveal his true loyalties. He fed Voldemort carefully chosen truths mixed with essential lies, a poisonous cocktail that kept him alive and useful. Lucius Malfoy, once his friend, became a constant threat. Every conversation was a chess match, where one wrong move could mean death. When Lucius began to suspect that information was leaking from their inner circle, Severus had to deflect suspicion, while continuing to pass vital intelligence to the Order. The weight of his double life carved lines into his face and stole sleep from his nights. He aged years in months, sustained only by his promise to Dumbledore and the memory of Lily's sacrifice. The final sacrifice in his last moments. As fangs pierced his throat in the shrieking shack, Severus Snape's final act was to ensure that Harry Potter would understand the truth. Through tears that were both his life's blood and his deepest memories, he gave Harry the key to victory. The memories revealed not just his love for Lily, but the full scope of his sacrifices of loneliness, of walking in darkness, of being hated by the very people he died to protect. They showed a man who chose love over hatred, redemption over revenge, and light over the darkness that had shaped his youth. Severus Snape died as he had lived in his final years, alone, misunderstood, and utterly dedicated to protecting those who would never know the depth of his sacrifice. The half-blood prince's greatest magic was not in the spells he created or the potions he brewed, but in his transformation from a bitter, broken boy into a man capable of the most profound love and sacrifice. His story was written not in the margins of textbooks, but in the lives he saved, the darkness he held at bay, and the boy who lived because Severus Snape chose, again and again, to love.